supposed to happen in August next month, which means you have at least 1 month preparation. Although it's a bit late to prepare for UGC-NET, because at least you need to prepare at least 6 months before the exams. Nevertheless, possibly this will be an advanced preparation for next year as well. So I'll just give you some of the points which I think it is important to have or to be able to follow, so that you will be able to write the exams. So first and foremost is you have to download the syllabus from the UGC website. I will give the link in the description below. Secondly, you have to collect the 5 to 7 years question papers, because through these question papers you will be able to analyze, you will be able to focus on various types of questions that keeps coming. Also, when you collect these kind of questions, you also have to, for example, if you follow the link online, YouTube videos and so on, or if you use a book, that book should or that video should also explain or describe the other questions that has come, not only the correct question or the right question. So you have a lot of online free materials. You can get it from various websites and YouTube videos, which fortunately, obviously, that will be a big and important aspects for you. Also, so the pattern of questions which keeps coming, the kind of questions which keep coming every year is, for example, number one is the name of the book, the author, year of publication, and so on. Sometimes they ask it directly, or sometimes they ask you to put in sequence, year-wise, chronological order, important events and affairs. As a student of political science and IR, it is very, very much important to note down the current events or the important events. For example, the BRICS summit, the Quad summit, and various other types of summit which keeps happening, right? For example, not necessarily that 2-3 months before the exam that summit will come, but maybe they will just ask when will the next summit happen. For example, if it's India, or if it's in China, or if it's in Japan, and so on, right? So this, you cannot get it from the books. You can get only from the news. If you read news every day, you read news either from the newspaper, from the periodicals, from the current affairs, which keep publishing these various websites, various magazines, and so on. So, chronological order of historical events. This is one aspect which many of us fail or miss to appear in the exams or take in the exam, because, for example, in the case of, let's say, various movement led by Gandhi, for example, Satyagraha, and so on. Like, if you don't know these, the sequence of the events led by Gandhi, or in general the events, for example, when it comes to the freedom movement, as to which one comes first. So if you don't know, then it becomes difficult to take in the exams, right? And statement by various heads of the states. So this is also one important aspect which statement made by important heads of the states. Some of the statements are very popular, very catchy, and so on. So that made the statement very important also. So sometimes they ask such kind of statements. So these kind of statements you will only know when you follow the news regularly, right? So important quotes by various authors and scholars. So also this one also, if you have read the basic text, for instance, or if you have read the question papers, for instance, you will be able to find out as to what are those quotes which are important for the exams, right? Name of the scholars of particular field or school of thought, such as postmodernism, post-colonialism, and so on. Sometimes they ask whether this particular author is a postmodernist or not. For example, they will ask you which one of the following is not a postmodernist author or postmodernist scholar. So they will obviously they will have one at least who is not a postmodernist. So if you know them all, then you will be able to answer. And also another important aspect is the important schemes and programs by the government. There are various schemes and programs by the government which this comes regularly. It can be, for example, it can be a plastic ban for that matter, right? Or it can be some schemes which meant for the BPL, some scheme which is new, like the name of the scheme. So you have to read it from, for example, this one you can get it from the government websites such as Yojana and so on, right? So these are the patterns of questions which I could actually made out of which you will find these kind of questions. Although there are some other questions which comes, but this is how the pattern of questions that keeps coming during the UGC-NET preparation or UGC-NET exams. Next is the basic text. First, before you even read the questions and so on, obviously you have to know the text, right? You have to know the your subject and so on. For example, Polity by Lakshmi Khan. This is the book. This is the Polity book which I have. It is very important book for student of political science, or if you are preparing for competitive exams, right? Because there are various things which talks here. Polity basically talks about, for instance, talks about the making of the Indian Constitution, the Constitutional Assembly, and also how various fundamental rights are discussed, how various amendments of the Constitution are being discussed, and various committees and commissions which are discussed here in this book, Polity. And also Political Theory by O.P. Goba. Political Theory by O.P. Goba is basic text which all of us should get it. And most of these books are available online. Okay, you can get it online, or you can, for example, Polity by Lakshmi Khan, Indian Polity by Lakshmi Khan. Some of the YouTube channel, they have discussed from chapter 1 to last chapter, so you can get it from YouTube if you cannot buy it, right? Globalization of World Politics is about IR and so on. International Relations by V.N. Khanna, this is about IR theory, again theory of IR. International and Regional Organization by IAS Parliament. So this particular international and regional organization is a bit tricky because you have to read also from other sources, because there are so various organizations which you may forget. For example, the member of ASEAN, the member of African Union, the member of SCO, and so on, right? So if you watch, after you read the basic text, you watch videos, or you refer to other websites, you will be able to remember the member of various organizations, the member of various entities or bilateral relations, right? The Western Political Thinkers by O.P. Goba, Indian Political Thinkers also again by O.P. Goba. So these are important books, right? Indian Political Themes and Thinkers by Himanshu and M.P. Singh. Foundation of Indian Political Thought. These are the texts which talks about various, for example, Mahatma Gandhi, Kabir, Muhammad Iqbal, and so on, right? Political Theory and Introduction. Again, another political theory book by Rajiv Bhargava and Ashok Acharya. Again, Andrew Haywood. So these are the texts which, if you could get, it would be well and good for you. But some of them are available online, like ME GNU notes. Very basic and very helpful also, because when you prepare for these exams, It does not mean that the question will directly come from these books. But if you have understood about the context, the concepts, and so on, you will be able to answer, you will be able to relate, you will be able to use common sense, right? Because reading the basic text is important than just buying some, some guidebook which directly talks about the question, because you will forget those questions which keep on giving answers only without explanation, right? So you have to read the basic text first before you solve the question, because without training, how can you go directly to the war or to the to the actual exams, right? Before you read, you cannot go directly to the actual exams, right? So again, another text by Andrew Haywood, politics, basically the Indian politics and so on, right? Global politics, again, this is basically globalization, privatization, and so on. And again, another unit which is Indian foreign policy by V.K. Khanna, Indian foreign policy by V.P. Dutt, and also you have to go to the MEA website, because there are various statements, various agreements, various kind of bilateral talks or bilateral relations with various countries, because sometimes they ask you what are the bilateral agreement treaties India made with Bangladesh or with US and so on, with Russia, right? Again, the Indian government and politics, politics in India, public administration by concept and theories. So these are the texts which, if you have and if you have gone through once at least or twice, that will make you easier to to solve the question papers. You have to also go for mock tests. There are various websites, for example, the Byju's, and other mock tests which they keep giving, and they give you scholarship also if you clear those mock tests, right? So you should appear those mock tests. And also for current events, like I said earlier, you should have the newspaper, magazine, periodicals, TV, and online sources, right? So let me show you the syllabus of UGC-NET. It is important to know the syllabus, right? Because without knowing the syllabus, you will not be able to you may not be able to remember a lot of things.